What are the top issues facing record collectors midway through 2021? After surveying thousands of record collectors, I think I have a pretty good idea. I will tell you more coming up next. Hi, my name is Frank. Welcome back to Channel 33 RPM, your channel for vinyl gear and more. Over the course of a week recently, I ran daily polls on my YouTube community page to get a sense of trends among record collectors. I was curious to find out where record collectors are shopping, how much they're spending, and the issues they're seeing. In total, I received somewhere around 20,000 responses. While not statistically valid, the results are quite comprehensive and in some cases quite interesting. All right, this first question addresses shopping habits. And the question was, when it comes to record shopping so far in 2021, are you buying more records than previous years, fewer records than previous years, or about the same number as previous years? And this one was pretty evenly split. And when I dove into it a little further into the comments, I could see that the pandemic, COVID this past year, was having an impact on record shopping habits. Check this out. Chris Norton wrote, have only been used record hunting 3 times this year as opposed to once per week. Most weeks pre-pandemic, so it's keeping Chris home. Other things influencing your record shopping habits this year are cost and quality control. We'll get more into that coming up, but viewer Life wrote, due to absurd costs and poor quality control, my record buying has come to almost a screeching halt. Maybe one day when my money gets better, I can get back into it. Definitely factors. Record prices are continually going up, and we're seeing more of that lately. So very interesting. Let's get to the next question. This one was about how many records, new and used, have you purchased so far in 2021? And this one seems to be kind of divided into a couple of camps here. But about 38% of you have only bought 5 or less records this year. And the other side of things, about a third of you have bought more than 20 records. So there's a handful of you kind of just buying a handful of records, and a handful of you buying a ton of records. But let's dive into the comments to see what's going on here. Mark wrote, I'm getting close to 50 records in 2021, which is way too many. He says these are both used and new. He says I've had to curtail my record shopping because I have a nearly full crate of records that I haven't cleaned, cataloged, listened to, and filed yet. So I totally know about that feeling of an overflowing inbox. I've had that issue before, and this year, how many records have I bought? I'd probably say I've bought between 5 to 10 new records, but some have been on the more expensive side, like those Black Sabbath box sets. What else do we have here? Viewer Noogie wrote, really cut back on my purchasing, appreciating what I have. Yeah, totally key. You got to listen to and dig what you have. Similar point to what Mark said. This next question was really interesting, and I had no idea which way this one was going to go. The question was, where have you bought the majority of your new records in 2021? So this is new vinyl, not used vinyl. And the options were brick and mortar record stores, or your mom and pop record shops, Amazon, other online places like Discogs, eBay, Bandcamp, web stores, whatever, department stores like Walmart's, and other. And truthfully, I thought way more of you would be purchasing at Amazon, particularly as a COVID year. I mean, depending on where you are in the world, stores may have been shut down, and I figured a lot of people would be turning to Amazon, and that just wasn't true. 16% of people who responded to the survey said they were buying the majority of their records from Amazon. I bought from all of the places on this list, with the exception of Walmart. I haven't bought any records at Walmart. A lot of you guys are buying other online, though. A third of you, like Discogs, eBay, Bandcamp, web stores, that's all really popular. But number one, and this is really encouraging, nearly 40% of you were saying about the majority of your records at bricks and mortar record stores this year. So that's great, because those stores need our support. I mean, just talking to some of the local record store owners here who've had to deal with so many restrictions this year. It's been a tough slog. It's not been easy for these guys. Let's dig into these comments. Infectious Groove Vinyl wrote, nearly everything I've picked up this year has been from the local record store, with very few exceptions. The 92 Project wrote, I'm truly shocked Amazon is not a distant number one. I am too. I thought, maybe if not number one, I thought it would be up there for sure. 92 writes, good for brick and mortar. I buy a good amount of new records. 90% Amazon, 10% eBay. And Evan, let's see what Evan said. He said, I am an Amazon buyer and I am not ashamed. I'm 19 and in college. I can't buy records for up to $10. Or more at my local record store. Sorry, to be completely honest, I've only purchased 2 records this year. Again, you got to go with what you can afford, right? I talked about supporting bricks and mortar record stores and the importance of that, but the first thing you got to support is yourself. You got to watch out for yourself. So totally get it. I totally get it. All right, this next one. The question was, when it comes to buying new records, talking about new vinyl, not used, what is your top concern in 2021? And for this, so YouTube only gives me 5 survey options, so I had to really kind of pick and choose which ones I would put on this survey question, and I kind of went with what I hear most often from you guys as being your top issues. That being rising prices, quality control issues, scuffed records, marked up records, that sort of stuff. 3, being able to get the records you want, dealing with limited quantities, and of course no concerns or other. So the number one issue for record collectors surveyed, number one by a long shot, was rising prices. And I can't really speak to the situation in other parts of the world, but where I am, record prices have soared in the past couple of years. It's funny, I looked at some new records I bought a decade ago, and I found a Tool record I bought. It was $12.99 brand new. You can't find those kind of deals now. I mean, here, starting price for new records is $25, and it goes up. It seems, again, talking here in Canada, the new normal for a new record is probably $30. $30 to $35, which is really getting up there, and that's kind of forced me to reassess and really think carefully about what records I am buying. I'm kind of seeing that too in the results. So 43% of you said rising prices, quality control 24%, being able to get the records you want 24%, no concerns 8%. There's some of you guys are pretty happy without any concerns, so that's good to see. Let's check out the comments. Deco wrote, it's getting ridiculous with the limited pressings and scalpers. Yes. No matter which physical media related hobby it is, video games, movies, music, I can't afford to buy most things I'd like to get, especially when they are sold out and those D-bags that bought them all are selling them with huge markup. Yeah, no one likes the flippers. We've talked about that many times, and it's a definite annoyance. Dan, my God, quality control is just horrendous. And I use a project cleaning machine on new records. Things really need to change with the expense of vinyl. Again, quality control, prices, all this sort of stuff is wrapped up into one. And SL, yeah, here we go. All 3. So all 3 being rising prices, quality control, and limited quantities. He said prices are too high, quality concerns, and limited quality releases. All right, I also thought this was interesting, because we're just talking about price and the rising cost of records. So I wanted to kind of get into your minds, into the mind of the record collector, and see how much you actually are willing to pay. So the question is, what is the most in general you will spend on a new single LP, US dollars? So, a couple interesting things I found here. Again, it's kind of at the two ends, right? There's a quarter of you who are like, $25 is the max. And so 25 US, like that's about 30 Canadian. And, you know, if that was my max, I wouldn't be buying a lot of records, because that kind of seems to be the new normal for a plain old single record. And interestingly, check this out. A third of you, more than a third of you, 35% are saying you would be willing to pay more than $35 for the right record. So, I mean, this is clearly the case, because you're seeing on Record Store Day all the special records and packages and that sort of stuff, and some of these records are going for far more than $35. But I think in order to pay that $35, I mean, I didn't say it here, I said for the right records. It has to be the right title, but also, again, has to be in the right condition, right? Like the worst. It's like that Black Sabbath box set I bought. It was, whatever, $130 or something, and the records were scuffed. And when I exchanged it, they weren't a lot better. So I finally got that one, a good copy. But, you know, if you're spending the bucks, you want good quality. In terms of comments, Toby wrote, I don't think $25 in today's world is too much to pay for a single new 180-gram release. Len writes, telling you, Frank, the prices of new vinyl are getting ridiculous, and I say this as a lifelong collector. When it comes to new releases, I am almost exclusively CDs now. I've actually heard that from quite a few people with the prices and the quality control. People are reverting back to CDs, and it's funny to say reverting back, because CDs, I guess, have they ever really left? I don't know, but they're on the way. The sales of the CD are definitely declining, but I'm seeing more people just frustrated with records and turning to CDs, so that's interesting. And Robert Saul wrote, I will pay $35 or more, but only after some research. Impulse buys are no more unless they are cheap. All right, next one, talking about quality control. Have you experienced quality control issue with any new records purchased so far in 2021? That includes things like scuffed records, warped records, etc. So this was also surprising, because 36% of you have said you experienced no issues. And 37% have said yes, but it's not common. So of those who responded to this question, an overwhelming majority are saying no issues or minimal issues with new records, which is really good, because we talk about quality control all the time here. And from my experience, quality control for me is an issue, but it has gotten better. Maybe I dwell on it too much. Maybe I give the impression that every record I get is scuffed up. It's not the case. And I think it was worse even a couple of years ago. It is getting better. But when it's bad, it's really bad. And this should not be an issue, like quality control, guys. Interestingly, 6% of you said you have quality control issue with most new records you're buying, so that is discouraging. In terms of the comments, David Marshall, I've gotten over a dozen LPs this year and I'm sitting at 100% good. Awesome. I'm still waiting for my Alice Cooper Detroit Stories album to show up, but otherwise all good for me. My copy of Alice Cooper was fine, so hopefully yours was too, David. Krista wrote, out of about 10 new records, 1 was warped and 1 skipped. That sucks. And Burns 009, yep, returned Mob Rules 4 times before I got one that was completely acceptable. That's too bad. I'm assuming he or she is referring to the new reissue this year, and that one wasn't cheap, so I'm glad you finally got a good copy. And this next question I did just for fun. I threw it out there. Approximately how many records do you own? And I guess this was interesting as well, because again, a quarter of you, 35%, have less than 100 records, which is a smaller collection, I think. Maybe a more reasonable one than what I have. Another third of you said 100 to 500 records, and that kind of gets crazy there. There's 6% of you said you had more than 3,000 records. Myself, I have about 1,300 records, so I'd fall into that category of 1,000 to 3,000 records, which is about 10% of you. So the bottom line, what can we learn or what can we read into some of these results? I mean, first of all, you guys are still loving your records in general. I get a sense that you're passionate and you just love getting physical media and your music on wax. So that's awesome. But obviously there are also concerns around pricing, quality, and selection, which are all legitimate issues, and I hear about that all the time, and hopefully that improves. And finally, this was really encouraging just to see how many of you are supporting independent record stores. We said it before, independent record stores are the lifeblood of the vinyl community. They're meeting places, and they're places where we can actually go to physically buy product rather than just ordering online. You got to admit, it is much more fun digging through a crate than even scrolling through lists on Discogs, right? So again, going forward, let's hope those quality control issues improve. I will do the survey again in 2022, and we'll see how things have changed, if they have at all. All right, 33ers, that is my survey of Channel 33 RPM viewers like yourself. If you didn't respond to the survey questions, why don't you weigh into the comments below? What are the issues that are top of mind for you? I would love to know. Otherwise, if you dug this episode, I'd appreciate a quick thumbs up. I hope you have a great week. Until next time, keep on spinning.